The first round of the NFL draft is in the book, so let's react to it. Let's give out some grades. Special thanks to our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. More on them a little bit later, but let's start from the top. Let's talk about the Tennessee Titans. They selected Cam Ward, quarterback out of Miami. It's been the pick since the combine. Cam Ward was the best quarterback in this draft class. You could argue that there were better prospects in like Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter that they could have taken here, but they're using this pick to swing on the most important position on an NFL roster, quarterback. If you hit on this pick, it means so much to your franchise, especially to have that guy on a rookie contract. I get it. I understand it. And for me, Cam Ward would be someone I would take in the top 10. I'm going to give it an A. I think an A is a nice, safe grade for the Tennessee Titans. And things are getting crazy, believe me. Because at pick 2, I didn't think it was going to happen. And suddenly the Browns just trade pick 2. They trade away essentially Travis Hunter. And they give him to the Jags. It was chaos. It was lunacy. And then you saw the draft capital was like, I get it. Because later on, they would go ahead and draft Mason Graham. We'll get to that grade later. But they acquire a first next year. They get the Jags second this season. On top of what? They ended up getting a fourth round pick, I think, as well. I think it was like a pick swap. But regardless, the big picks in here were the first next year, second this year. I like that for the Browns, and I get it. I understand it. It's a hefty price to pay for Travis Hunter. Because, hey, Travis Hunter, I love the player. I love the pick. It's a hefty price. That's a big price tag, guys. That's huge. Travis Hunter, wide receiver. Cool. Another weapon for Trevor Lawrence. Hey, our outside corner spot, it's a little wonky outside of Tyson Campbell. Sure, we got Jerry and Jones, but he played mainly in the slot last year. I love the fit. It's just a big price tag. And to be fair, I look at the Jags roster, and I don't think it's like that far away. You have your franchise quarterback there. I think I'm going to stick with giving this an A. But golly, that trade really gave me something to think about, right? It really gave me something to think about. And then the draft got pretty chalky, or went the way as we expected with the next few picks. The Giants, they ended up going with Abdul Carter. We'll talk about them trading back into the first round when we get to that pick. I'm just grading the individual picks right now. They grab Abdul Carter. It's an A. It's an A. You can argue it's an A+. That's right. I got A pluses available here. I'm going to give it the A+. Kayvon Thibodeau, I think they picked up his fifth-year option tonight as well. The pass rush is going to be nasty with the likes of Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau. There was no way that they were going to move out of the spot and sacrifice it on the quarterback of tomorrow, especially with this front office and their heels to the fire. This was always the right decision. Whether it was Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, you should take that player here and think about quarterback later on, which they did, and cost a little bit, but you always knew you were going to pay that price tag to get back into the first round. And then we have the New England Patriots. They go with Will Campbell, tackle out of LSU. He might be a guard, but you know what? It kind of is what it is. The NFL thinks he's going to be a very good player. I don't really disagree with that. I just don't. Is he going to be a stellar player at tackle? I don't know. You're betting on like a historically small wingspan for the tackle position. And you know what? If you're going to have a tall guard who also plays real tall, at least Drake May's got some size to him, right? At the end of the day, it's like, is it the craziest pick? Is it really going to like blow your brains out? Love it? No, but I think it's a solid pick. I think it's a good pick. I'm going to go with the B. I think he's going to be a good player. I could end up eating my words and he's like just an all-pro caliber level player. And he might be. I just don't know if it's at the tackle position or at the guard. And that does present different type of value. But I still think it was a good selection by the Patriots. And then we get to the Cleveland Browns, who they said, screw it, dog. Give us the picks. We're going to go get our quarterback maybe next year. Maybe we're going to go get our quarterback tomorrow with Shedeur Sanders still being on the board. They go Mason Graham. Mason Graham was a top Ooh, 3 prospect for me still. I have a lot of faith in him. I think I love how he just gets after it. You've heard Jim Schwartz say, hey, I'd rather have fast cars on the defensive line rather than dump trucks. This car go fast. It go boom, boom. So I like the pick. And I like that how much value got back from trading. So I'm going to go with an A+. The trade just makes it all that much better. Like, think about it like this. What would you rather have? Travis Hunter or Mason Graham and a first rounder next year and an early second rounder tomorrow? It might be that. It might be that. It just might. That's just the truth. So Mason Graham, again, it started a wild draft, and then we just didn't see trades until the late first round. Ashton Jeanty ends up going to the Raiders. It was one that was projected for a while. And then you had betting odds change this week with, it's Armand Membu. It's Kelvin Banks. And it ended up always being Jeanty. I like the Jeanty pick. I think he's going to pair up with Raheem Mostert really, really nicely. You got Pete Carroll, who's, hey, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. They extended Geno. To me, it was a pick that made sense. You didn't have to move up to go get him. To me, he is in that caliber of running back that was worth a top 10 pick, like a Bijan Robinson, a Saquon Barkley. I think you have an ascendant offensive line that can facilitate a very, very good running back. So I was cool with it. I like it. I'm going to give it an A. I'm a big Ashton Jeanty fan and believer. Moving on to Armand Membu going to the New York Jets. This was by far one of my favorite landing spots for Armand Membu. I mean, you have Aaron Glenn coming from the Detroit Lions, who had a top 2 or 3 offensive line in the league for so many years. He knows what a top offensive line can do for your offense, do for your quarterback, do for your run game. Breece Hall needs some help. Justin Fields is going to need some help. And you look at the offensive line on paper for the Jets, and you could argue right tackle is the only spot that they really needed to fill, and they did it here with Membu. I'm going to give it an A. Membu was my top tackle in this class. He gets to stay on the right side. It just made all the world of sense to me, so good on the Jets. Oh, man, and then things got interesting. So Tetairoa McMillan was a betting favorite at pick 8, and I assumed that's because that was because the betting offices assumed that there would be a trade, that the freaking Cowboys will move up here to go out and get their wide receiver to pair up with CeeDee Lamb, which they ended up not doing. But no, the Jags were like, you know what? We're just going to keep giving firepower and weapons to our franchise quarterback, our hopefully franchise quarterback, Bryce Young. And they went and grabbed Tetairoa McMillan. I had a top 5 grade on Tetairoa McMillan for this draft class. So the value was right. I felt like they maybe needed more speed at wide receiver, but I'm kind of okay with it. Again, for the value, it felt right. And there's still going to be good edge players left on the board on day 2. Then again, I mean, you look at the Panthers and they're not really in range to get like a Mike Green, Donovan Ezaraku. So those guys probably won't be available, but never say never. We saw some good players fall today in the draft. I think I'm going to go with a B. This might be one I end up changing when it's all said and done, but at least my initial reaction is going to be a B. But I like that they're helping and addressing just that offense and trying to give more weapons to Bryce Young. I don't mind that. Again, this might be a grade I end up changing. And then we have the New Orleans Saints, who could be in play for Shedeur on day 2. They go with Kelvin Banks, and I was sold that this was Mikael Williams. He was the bet-in favorite. Kelvin Banks was consistently like the 3rd or 4th not best option, but favorite to go to the Saints. And hey, man, they ended up going with him with those other guys on the board, like Tyler Booker and Mikael Williams. You shore up the offensive line. This is great. I'm out on Trevor Penning. You could put Banks at left tackle. You kick Telenisa Fuanga to right. where he played in college. I assume that's the plan, but you're fortifying the trenches, the offensive line. Kellen Moore, offensive-minded coach. It made all the sense in the world to me. I thought this was a good value. I had him as like the 13th best prospect on my board. So at the end of the day, I think I'm going to give it a A. Because like it didn't wow you. If like I was giving out minuses, probably be like an A minus. It's like borderline B plus. But it's a good pick. I understand the pick. Yeah, because if this was Mikel, I'd probably give it a B or something like that. So yeah, I'm going to go with an A, man. I like the pick. I like the player. And then at pick 10, Colston Loveland. This is where like, okay, the draft has now gone from, okay, chalk picks to Panthers taking Tet, Kelvin Banks going to the Saints, and then Colston Loveland going ahead of Tyler Warren. Listen, there were teams out there, reportedly teams that had a higher grade on Colston Loveland than they did Tyler Warren. I like this for Ben Johnson. You look at Loveland and you think, oh yeah, Sam Laporte. It makes sense to me. We're going to run a lot of 12 personnel there with Cole Kmet. Got a good offensive weapon for our young signal caller in Caleb Williams. I like it. If this was Genty, sure, that would have been hella fun too. Does this feel high for Loveland? Maybe a little, but if Warren came off the board, then Loveland probably wasn't going to make it outside of the top 20. So if you did trade back, how far did you trade back? Was it enough? Would you still be able to get your guy here? So I'm going to go with a B. I get it. I see it. I get the vision. Feels a little high. I understand the fit. And it's not so high, so much of a reach, you would say, that I'm appalled by it. It's just not. And then, of course, we got Mikel Williams, who ends up going at pick 11 to the San Francisco 49ers, killing my parlay. I had Mason Graham, top 10 pick. I had Mikel Williams, top 10 pick. Bam. Dead here. Missed it by one. Gotta love it. But, dude, Robert Saleh must have showed up and was like, Nick, what happened to everybody? What's wrong with the defensive line? Where did everyone go? Yeah, they needed to refurbish this defensive line. This is a great start. Mikel Williams, bare minimum, is going to be a 3-down player that's going to be a good run stuffer. And then what's going to help develop that pass rush? Well, Nick Bosa eating up double teams, getting chipped, getting all the attention. So I think it was a good pick, even if I was lower on Mikel Williams, just simply because the production just hasn't been there yet for him. I think it's a quality pick. I think it's a good pick. I'm going to go with a B here, and I think that's fair. Again, it's not like it blew me out of the water. Now, before we get to pick 12, I do want to give a shout out to our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. If you don't know, now you know. If you download the app and sign up using promo code BROSHMO, they will match that first deposit up to $1,000 dues with the NBA playoffs here. Right now, they got a promotion going on called The Extender. Ooh. So how it works, in game 1 of a series, you have a 40% profits boost. You go to game 2 and the profits go up all the way. If it makes it to game 7, you are going to get 100% profit boost. And this is all throughout the playoffs. So if you want to take advantage of that, then go ahead, check them out. They also have NFL draft stuff going on. They have promos each and every day. Again, it's not just football. They got basketball. Baseball's back. You can play their higher or lower on player stats. That's always a ton of fun to play. But if you do download that app, you bet your sweet cheeks. The promo code, it's BROSHMO. Pick 12. Who do we got? It's the Dallas Cowboys. Let's talk about Tyler Booker. Because this was like, I think the first like real shocker of the night for me. Because I thought Booker might be a guy that slipped out of the first round. And when I think about it, I think this could work in a variety of different ways. Again, I remember just years ago, I would look at players and be like, oh, that guy's not high on my board. Bad pick. But now it's like, okay, maybe he wasn't as high on my board as some other guys, but I could see what the team's doing and I could see a route that this works. Say you want to keep Tyler Booker on the left side. Maybe you believe in Brock Hoffman. I do. At least I hope. Tyler Smith kicks out to left tackle. Tyler Guyton kicks out to right tackle where he played in college. Terrence Steele's been bad. Kind of works out. So there's some variety and versatility to this play. It opens you up to like, okay, no, we're going to put the 5 best offensive linemen on the field consistently. So I can see it from that perspective. Is it a little high? Yes. Great character guy. I kind of hate giving this a C because I could see the route that it works. It's just I wasn't that high on him. Report was the NFL was, though. Because if you remember after the combine, he was getting top 20 love. So, again, it's kind of hard to grade. I'm going to go C. I can see the vision. Feels a little bit like a reach, but I get why you want to make the pick here and not necessarily trade down. But, again, not every grade's going to be perfect, right? So, yeah, I think C's right. C's right for now. Again, I might sit on this and think otherwise. Pick 13, Miami Dolphins. Fins up, baby, fins up. We go with Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle out of Michigan. We needed a big, girthy, hefty boy, and we got one. We got one. Sorry, Benito Jones. Hopefully, we got a better version. Cool. I mean, I could see him going this high. I think maybe his floor was probably to the Chargers. We really needed cornerback. Will Johnson's around, but he fell out of the first round because apparently there might be a chronic knee issue. You can make the case for Jahdae Barron. I thought he would have been a good fit. Malaki Starks maybe was someone that could come to mind here. Obviously, offensive line, I wouldn't mind Gray Zabel. I would have loved that pick. I think I can't give this an A, but I like the player. It's not a reach in my opinion. You saw all the offensive tackles come off the board anyway. I'm going to give it a B. I think a B is a nice fair grade for Kenneth Grant to the Dolphins. And then pick 14. It's Tyler Warren going to the Colts as God intended. Everything's right with the universe. This was always this is what Colts fans wanted, and they got it. I'm not going to give this an A+. I'm going to give it an A. Colts fans might be like, this is outrageous. We were so lucky that he made it to us. You're right. And you could argue he was the best player on the board. To me, I still look at that offense with, say Anthony Richardson is the starter. Okay, he's going to throw like 20 times a game. The total volume for the tight end last year was 15%. You could argue, yeah, well, we had one of the worst tight end rooms in the NFL. Yeah, but even with that, even if you do see a target boost to the tight end, is it going to mean that much if your quarterback's not passing the ball a ton? And what if it's Danny Dimes? Then I think everyone's screwed anyway. Listen, it's a good pick. I'm literally just trying to give justification why, to me, it's not A+. And again, if you're not new to the channel, you already knew I was kind of hesitant with tight end. And I feel like the reason was sound. Still a hell of a good player. It's an A grade. It's an A grade. Easy A. Pick 15. Oh man, we'll talk about the Falcons and what they did in this draft, but they stick this pick. They take Jalen Walker. Everyone and their mom was assuming, based on reports, Walker would go in the top 10. He makes it here to 15. This is a team that desperately needs pass rush. It was so nice of them to address it, not once but twice. But maybe you could use Jalen Walker like Caden Ellis, who can kind of blitz from everywhere. He could come off the edge, and he's kind of this versatile piece for the defense. He's in the last year of his deal. So you can use Walker in the rotation sparingly and continue to develop him, and maybe he takes that role in 2026. At the end of the day, this was about the range that I had him going in. They needed pass rush. I can see the vision. I'm going to give it an A. It's an A grade. I like the pick. And then at 16, Walter Nolan, going to the Arizona Cardinals. I remember not this past free agency, but the free agency before, man, Cardinals fans. When I was like, y'all wasting money on getting guys like Below Nichols and Justin Jones, and you tried to tell me those are good depth options they're going to be involved in. They hardly played. Granted, some of that was injury, but they were fairly ineffective when on the field. They bring in Dalvin Tomlinson. They bring in Calais Campbell. They have Darius Robinson. But they continue to add. They're like, we got to renovate this defensive line. I don't mind Walter Nolan here. He was in my, he was, I think, 12th on my big board, or 13th. I think he was 12th on my big board. Big Walter Nolan guy. I could see how this works. It sucks that you have a little bit of wasted money there, but you're right in a wrong. And I like that. I like the addition here. I'm going to go with an A grade. Again, I'm very high on Walter Nolan. I'm very high on Walter Nolan. And then we're going to move on to Shamar Stewart going to the Cincinnati Bengals. I said earlier in the day in my mock draft prediction video that this was his floor, and it proved to be indeed his floor. Bengals rolling the dice again on a very toolsy pass rusher. Did it with Myles Murphy. Hasn't really worked out. I mean, he fits Al Golden's style. You're getting some help across from Trey Hendrickson. He's got a lot of tools, and you're going to have time to develop those tools. I like the pick. I was a little lower on him. This is basically going to be the same mindset as where I had a Mikael Williams. Just Mikael Williams was a better finisher. And that's a big problem with Stewart, man. He needs to finish up these tackles. I'm going to go with a B. I think it was a solid pickup. Solid draft pick. I'm happy with it. Pick 18, Gray Zabel going to the Seattle Seahawks as God intended. I'm just saying this. If you go back to a mock draft I did during Senior Bowl week with that franchise guy, Hail Mary Sports, I had to pick for the Seahawks. Who did I pick? Gray Zabel. I was calling it ever since then. This is one of the worst offensive interior lines. Address it. They address it. It's a great pickup. He's a perfect fit for Clint Kubiak's blocking scheme. It's an A grade. Easy A. Easy A. Pick 19. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This was interesting. This was, to me, the most surprising pick in the first round. They go Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State. He is a very good player. I think he's like a high-end wide receiver too. They pick him and it's like, oh, cool. Yeah, it's like Chris Godwin. I could see him in that role. You just brought back Chris Godwin. You have Mike Evans. Jalen McMillan showed some good stuff this year. Todd Bowles. It was your defense that let this team down. Why are we going defense? What are we doing here? So yeah, I was a little shocked. I like the player a lot. I just don't see how this can be an immediate impact. I see him like, okay, he's gonna get significant playing time if like Chris Godwin can't stay healthy. Okay, he's gonna be rotating in and out with Jalen McMillan because those are two guys that do very different things. One's can be a nice vertical threat. Emeka Egbuka, he's that nice chain mover. I could see a path how this makes sense. I just thought they really should have gone defense. I'm going to give it a C. I like Egbuka a lot. I like him as a player. I projected him as a potential pick at pick 20 and he ends up going at 19. So like this is within the range I expected him to go. Just not the team. But hey, again, I'm more shocked. I'm not disappointed. I like the player a ton. Pick 20, we got Jahdae Barron going to the Denver Broncos. And I remember during the live stream, I'm doing this with Alex from Hail Mary Sports. We're talking about potential, okay, if this isn't running back or wide receiver, what can it be? And I brought up Jahdae Barron. I was like, oh, well, I mean, McMillan, I think is only there for another year in the slot. Barron could work inside and outside. I mean, you're just keeping that cornerback room scary. I wouldn't mind it here. And there he goes. I was much higher on him than some other people were. I like the versatility to his game. I'm going to give this one, well, like, okay, well, what about Omarion Hampton? He didn't go in the first round well, yeah, he did. I was thinking of Travion Henderson. What about Omarion Hampton? Well, it's a strong running back class. It's fine. It's fine. We can get to it later. Wide receiver, you can make the point, but like you're looking at Matthew Golden could make some sense here, but I think there's some role guys you could get on day 2. So I'm actually happy with this pick. I'm going to give it an A. I think it's solid. Makes sense in my mind. You upgrade the secondary with a ball hawk, a guy that's just a game changer. All right, we got pick 21. It's Derek Harmon going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, not Shedeur Sanders. This is one of the favorite picks for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Someone that can be that heir apparent to Cameron Hayward. He can get involved in that rotation because if you look at their defensive line, they can be a little squishy, like at the 3-4 edge spot or even in the middle. Like they could probably use some more depth. This keeps that defensive front being very scary. There were concerns he might slip because of the knee. That's obviously not a worry for the Steelers. I think I'm gonna give it a B. If not, if there wasn't a concern with some of the medicals, probably would be an A. I think it's a good pick. It's a good fit. If you get Aaron Rodgers, you're in win now mode anyway, so go get some win now players. Derek Harmon's kind of a win now player. Moving on to, I believe this is the Chargers, and they go Amari and Hampton, running back out of North Carolina. So I guess Jim Harbaugh doesn't mind investing in the running back position. We can do it with free agents or day 3 players. No, we're going to go get Hampton. Sorry, Najee. You're here for 1 year. I like Hampton, man. Listen, if you're not going to get a wide receiver here or a pass catcher that can help out Justin Herbert, give him someone to hand the ball off to. You went out, you got Mekhi Becton. It's a good pick. It's a solid pick. Again, it's not like it's a premium position. Maybe you'd rather roll the dice at wide receiver again. I'm going to stick with a B, though. I think it's a solid pick. It is a solid pick. And then we have the Green Bay Packers going with Matthew Golden, wide receiver out of Texas. That franchise guy, I went and looked at his stream. He was hooting and hollering. He was loving it. And I like the pick, too. Josh Jacobs came out. We need a wide receiver 1. Stinking, even Mark Murphy, he made a joke about it as he announced the selection. I like this pick. A good pick. I think I'd be willing to take him up at 12. I knew that this was one of the guys that the Packers wanted to get their hands on if he made it here. The other being Shamar Stewart. I'm glad it's Golden. A very nuanced route runner who does have that speed. You could argue, oh, I didn't see that on tape. Well, when you're having to stop and wait for Quinn Ewers' balls to drop, I know, I'm very punny. Then yeah, cool. He's got to slow down, but he's got my ball mentality. He became the alpha for that Texas offense when they needed one. I like the pick quite a bit. I'm going to go with an A. Close to A+. It's close to A+. But I'm going to go with an A, man. I like this pick. I like this pick quite a bit. Pick 24, I was shocked. Not shocked that they took Donovan Jackson. I was shocked they didn't trade down. And even more so when the Houston Texans traded out. Was that offer not on the board for the Vikings, who should want picks in this draft class? Kind of puzzled me a little bit. And I'm not going to lie to you, maybe the Giants didn't give them that offer. So I'm going to say, yeah, I was puzzled a little bit. Why didn't you trade down? Again, maybe they didn't get that offer, but apparently that offer was on the table and going around. You should have called the Giants about it. They take Donovan Jackson. I really like the pick here. Immediately, you can challenge for that left guard position. If Christian Darrisaw goes down again, like he did this past season, Jackson could maybe even play left tackle for you, because Jackson was forced to play left tackle during the end of the year. And by the playoffs, he was phenomenal. So there's some versatility there, but I'm a little soured on the lack of no trade. You don't have a lot of picks. I was so sure that they were going to trade out of the spot. So I think I'm going to give it a C. Because I just don't get, why don't you call the Giants? You know they're a team that's going to want to move up. Why aren't you making these calls and seeing if you can move out of the spot? Well, maybe we miss out on Donovan Jackson. Okay. Maybe. I don't know, man. I don't know. You let me know, Vikings fans. I like the player. That's the thing. This is the theme of the draft right now for me. The move can be head scratching, but I really like the player. It's a weird place to be in. I'm just going to say that. It's a weird place to be in. All right. So the Giants, this wasn't a well-kept secret. Brian Daboll, it was reported he likes Jaxson Dart. The Giants were talked about as a team that could trade back up into the first round and get a quarterback, which would be Jaxson Dart. Shedeur was still on the board, but it made all the sense in the world for it to be Jaxson Dart. They grabbed Jaxson Dart, quarterback out of Ole Miss. Is he a first-round quarterback? But I get it. The Giants are kind of in a spot. Not only do they need to compete, but they also need to have some sort of hope to the future. Abdul Carter allows you to compete. Jaxson Dart gives you a little hope to the future. What did it cost? It cost them a third rounder. And I think it was a third rounder this year and next year. Giants, Texans trade, please. All right, I'm just getting the actual trade value. So, oh, please don't talk to me about Jaxson Dart. I just want to know what the trade was. I just want to know if I quoted the trade correctly, please. All right, so the Giants moved up to 25. They gave the Texans pick 34, which this is now back-to-back seasons. The Texans aren't picking in the first round. Pick 99, so not so bad. And then a third-round pick in 2026, where it was like, okay, well, teams are going to know that you're trading up for a quarterback, so yeah, the price tag might be a little more hefty to move back up into the first. Why didn't the Vikings take this offer? Was this offer on the table? Why didn't you call about this offer, Vikings? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It sucks because this feels like a move that the front office maybe had to make. I like Jaxson Dart quite a bit. I don't think I like him in the first. I'm going to go with a C. Because I'm not going to doubt Brian Daboll and his ability to pick out quarterback talent. So I'm going to go with the C for now. But I'm glad that they went with this approach. Like, okay, if we have to get a quarterback in the first round, we'll just make a move back up the board. I'm glad that they didn't sacrifice selecting Abdul Carter to just get a quarterback. I think that was a good move. That was a good move. All right, we got, and things got crazy. We got another trade here. All right, so the Atlanta Falcons are like, our pass rush is never going to be crap again. We're going to move up, make our second pick in the first round, take James Pierce Jr. Some character concerns. I thought he might slip. Instead, it ended up actually being Mike Green who slipped out of the first round. You could argue James Pierce Jr., without those character concerns, is a top 10 pick. So I get moving back up in the first round. They paid a lot, man. So Falcons, Rams in great position to get a quarterback next year. All right, so this is what it cost the Falcons. The Falcons moved up, got pick 26. They also picked up pick 101, which is the third rounder from the Rams. The Rams get pick 46. They get a seventh rounder this year, but they get a first next year. I don't like the Falcons giving away draft capital they don't necessarily have and then bet in the future. I don't think I love that. So the pass rush should be good next year. You got Jalen Walker. You got James Pierce Jr., two of the top pass rushers, and I guess things get a little murky with Jalen Walker. What's he going to do? Is he going to be this chess piece? but that's a hefty price to pay, man. It's hefty. I'm gonna, and I mean, on top of the character concerns too, I'm gonna give it a C. Sucks. I love the player. Like for me, James Pierce was a top 20 player. Even with the character concerns. Okay, he's a bit of a douche. It is what it is. Man, giving up a first rounder next year. Tough pill to swallow. Tough pill to swallow. And then, dude, Raven's gonna Raven. They just sit back, have a good time, let value hit them in the face. If you didn't know, this is an A+. Malaki Starks, best safety in the class, in my opinion. Some people are gonna argue for like Nick Emmanuel, but I like Starks. I like his film. I know he can be a bit high risk, high reward. And that was kind of put on display this past season at Georgia. But if you're talking about a guy that's a ball hawk that can come in and be an enforcer as well, just adds versatility to that defensive backfield. Ravens, they just got to sit there and do nothing. Golly. Good on y'all, man. Good on y'all. And then we move on to pick 28. The Detroit Lions. I like the player. I like the pick. Again, I don't love it, though. Talik Williams, defensive tackle, going to the Lions. Makes sense to me because Liam McNeil probably going to miss the first half of the season. And then you turn and you look. Okay, DJ Reader, he's got 1 year left. Levi Onwuzurike, he's on a 1 year deal. We need to refurbish the interior. You get a big meaty run stuffer. Yeah, that's going to do it. To me, it's a B. I thought Talik could maybe sneak into the first round. He ends up doing that. It's a good player. It's a B. It's a B. And then we got the Washington Commanders. They go with Josh Connerly Jr., offensive tackle out of Oregon. You don't even have to start him now. I mean, sure, maybe you have him compete with was it Andrew Wiley at right tackle, but to me, this is kind of a pick to the future. Let's develop him. And sure, it'd be cool if he could come out early and be a starter, but you don't have to rush him into it. This is just getting protection for the future for your franchise quarterback, Jayden Daniels. It's solid. This was about the range I had him in. I think it's a solid pick. I'm going to give it a B. It's good. I'm okay with it. All right, let's move on. Pick 30. Maxwell Harrison going to the Buffalo Bills. This was kind of another popular pick. I like that for me, it was always going to be corner. Bills. You need another corner out there next to Christian Benford. You're not going to get that at 56 and what is it 62? The other spot that they draft at. I think we're going to see a run early to mid second round on these corners. The Bills aren't going to be in unless they move up, trade up to get one of those corners. So it felt like they would have to get it here, and they did. Maxwell Harrison, really good fit. Really good athlete, fast athlete, some legit ball skills, not afraid to put his nose in the action. Missed tackle rate was a little high this year because, well, shoulder injury just made him not as efficient as a tackler. He's also a guy that likes to push guys out of bounds, or at least funnel guys out of bounds. It's not like he's necessarily always going to go and attack the ball carrier, but with those ball skills, I like pairing him up with Benford. So quality pick, good pick. I'm going to give it a B. Makes sense to me. Let's move on. Because we got the Philadelphia Eagles. They move up one spot. Do a trade with the Chiefs. Give them a 5th rounder. They get Jihaad Campbell. Jihaad Campbell, apparently there's like, he's had multiple like shoulder injuries. That's why he ended up falling. So there may have been some concern there. Recently, it was the torn labrum that he's recovering from in his left shoulder. Had a really good offseason draft process, coming off a really good year. Arguably the top linebacker in this class. Feels like a good fit. A team like with Vic Fangio that could use his ability to also rush the passer. But you're also getting someone who could clog passing lanes and coverage. Be honest, it just feels like better Nakobe Dean. They both had like the shoulder issues, but he's a better athlete than Dean. It's a quality pick. It's a good pick. I think I'm going to go with an A. I'm going to go with an A, man, because I had him inside my top 20. You get him here at 31. It only costs you a fifth to move up a spot to make sure you got him. Sounds good to me. And then the final pick of the first round of the 2025 NFL draft. It was Josh Simmons. Chiefs fans, we've been doing this for ages. We've been mocking tackles to y'all, and y'all are like, no, 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 no. It was going to happen. And you arguably might have gotten the best tackle in this class if not for him coming off the patellar tendon injury. If not for maybe the character red flags now resurfaced, and I'm like, that's kind of weird because everything I read about this guy, hell of a dude. But apparently he's got some character issues. I don't know if I buy into it. If anything, it's still the patellar tendon I'm worried about. We have had advances in medical technology. Still, with the patellar tendon, it's one that it's a little dicey to when it comes to an offensive lineman's efficiency pre and post injury. It's a little dicey. It's kind of a roll of the dice, but without that concern, he would be probably a top 10 pick. I don't mind them taking a shot on that. You need someone to push. Well, I guess you could play Josh Simmons a right tackle. I mean, who is it? Jawan Taylor. He's not a long-term option. He's gone after this year. Jalen Moore, you're going to see what you have in. You paid him and you're taking a shot. And I don't mind them taking that shot either. It's a quality pick. It's a risky pick. And for the risk, I think I can't give it an A. I'll give it a B. It's a solid pick. Like, this was the thing. This is the theme of this draft. A lot of teams made solid picks. Like, they weren't players I disliked. There were a lot of players that I liked quite a bit. I didn't really feel like any of these picks were reaches in terms of where they were on my big board, aside from maybe a Jaxson Dart, but even then, he's still a top 50 prospect to me. But I question, okay, well, with these guys on the board, why didn't you try to address this, which seems like more of a need for your roster? Instead, you address something that's not necessarily a need. And that's the thing, man, with the NFL draft. People like to treat it like it's free agency 2.0, and it's not. Yeah, you want to address some of your biggest holes with talent, but at the end of the day, it's like, well, some of these guys aren't going to be immediate impact starters. And if we're looking to the future, maybe we're trying to keep a strength and want to get cheaper at a position. So in some cases, it does make sense. But yeah, at the end of the day, I was pleased with what players got picked. And to some degree, I was okay with it. Like the Bucks, good player. It might end up working really well. Just, I didn't get it at that time. You just brought back Chris Godwin. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. Rather than going with a defensive player, which your defense struggled hella lot last season. So, like, there was just some questions like that. But I'm ready for round 2. We're going to be live streaming again tomorrow. So I look forward to seeing y'all there. We're going to have best available for day 2 out in the morning. So be on the look for that video. But as always, until next time, be easy, my friends. Later.